Hey guys, I'm Tarik and welcome to my channel. I represent Frontline Academy and I'm a student under Eduardo Teta Rios. I'm a full-time Jiu-Jitsu athlete and instructor, and I created this page to share my techniques, training, and Jiu-Jitsu journey with you. Feel free to like and subscribe, and welcome to the family. Os.
Hey guys, welcome to the video this week, the beginner's video. Today we're going to show some transitions from the side control into the mount, and we're going to finish off with a submission. This non-belt person is going to show the technique today.
Hey guys.
So he's been downgraded.
I forgot my belt at home, and this is what happens. Okay, so starting here with Christian on the bottom, nice and easy. We're going to talk about how to transition from the side control into the mount position. And there's a couple ways to do this. I personally like to always go knee on belly first and then try to almost turn my leg in. So I make almost like a little circle and then chop my foot right behind his butt here. But you can always try to transition more from this isolating arm kind of position here. So if I can, I want to control this arm beside my hips here, and then I'm gonna look to throw my leg over and then come tight. Okay, so there's a couple ways to do this depending on what you like, but I'm gonna show you a very nice and easy risk-free transition here. Okay, so a couple of weeks ago we went through this lapel here. So now I can either trap his hand, but most likely he's gonna stretch his arm up, and then I can go underneath his arm here. The reason why I want to have this control is to prevent him from being too strong down here, okay? So if I can always pull his arm up here, that's going to help me out. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about my base. So I want to change my base a little bit, and I want to get down to his hips. I'm going to block his hip here with my bottom knee tight here, and I'm going to throw my leg over here. So I want to pinch my heel and my knee on each side of his hips, okay? So if Christian moves a little bit here, or even if he bumps up towards me, that's my timing to come up, okay? So we're gonna be here, look for the timing, I'm gonna bring my knee down to his hip and throw my leg over, okay? So as soon as I feel he's moving anywhere, I'm gonna go up and over. Make sure to also block this hand here, okay? I don't want him to catch my foot and push it in between his legs, and then I get trapped into the half guard again. So I want to make sure I'm always underhooking here. So if he tries to move this arm, I'm going to come up into the mount. And like most positions that are going to score and give you a lot of points, you kind of have to be prepared for a scramble, or at least your opponent gonna do a lot of movement in the beginning, at least before the points are secured. So you should always, once you got into this position, always try to base out, stay low, okay? Because if you are high up here, it's easy to tilt you over, right? Your center of gravity is much higher here, and it's easier to sweep you. If you can stay low and post on the floor here just for 3 seconds until you got the points, or at least established, maybe even got him tired because he's using so much energy, that's when you can start looking to trap the arms and go for the attacks that we're gonna go for. So, like I said, there's a lot of ways to do this, but we're gonna do a safe variation here. I'm gonna go underneath his arm, or if he wants and he lets me, I can also trap his wrist here like this, okay? But don't get too complicated. Oh, here, step over, and now I'm tight, okay? Wow. Os.
Thank you.
Okay guys, so we're gonna go a little bit further here into an arm triangle. And so we're gonna talk about how to isolate the head and the arm from the mount position. Of course, the thing about mount is it's always about patience and about just kind of like squeezing and getting tighter little by little. So it's not about actually attacking and being super aggressive, but more like squeezing your opponent into a corner until he has to give you something, right? So if Christian here is on bottom, and this time I got a nice transition to the mount, and here I can start working, okay? And immediately you're gonna see there's one side that's more vulnerable than the other, right? If he's always tight here, maybe one arm is on top of the other, then I will always go for the top arm, right? If his his right arm is underneath here, most likely it's gonna be hard for me to start working this arm. So I always look for the top arm here and try to isolate his head and his arm on one side, okay? Now what you're gonna notice a lot of the times is he's also looking for an angle to maybe turn to the side and start to escape, okay? And I have to be aware of this. The more he tilts on his side, more likely he's gonna catch my leg and trap it into the half guard, okay? So sometimes you're gonna try to work the crossface here with this arm, okay? So if I feel he's turning either to one side, I can start working to maybe use my shoulder to turn his face to the other side and make it uncomfortable so that he has to start to work to the other side, okay? So this arm plays an important role, but also this arm here, okay? So now I want to bring his elbow from the side of his ribs up all the way to, right beside his head here, okay? To do this, you're gonna have to have a little bit of patience with the bigger guys. With smaller guys, of course, you can always force your way up, but with the bigger guys, you have to almost crawl your fingers here and just slowly come up, okay? The trick here is to stretch the arm. So I post my hand on the floor. I'm gonna stretch my arm, and then I go down and go a little bit further. So I can continue like this until there comes a point where his elbow is past my head and I can dive down with my head here, okay? From this position, I have a pretty good control. I can clasp my hands together. I can stay tight here. If you feel like you're almost losing balance, maybe to the side, you can always use this hand to post out. This is very good to keep the top position, right? I like to use this grip here on the armpit if I can, just to control while I'm using this hand to post out. If not, I'll clasp my hands together. And now I'm gonna go for the arm triangle, right? So just a quick, here again. What I'm looking for is to isolate the head and the arm, okay? So I'm gonna go underneath his arm here and I'm gonna crawl, okay? If I feel like it stops and he's really resisting here, I'm gonna stretch my arm and then keep going, right? And like everything else, you need some patience here, right? Most likely he's gonna try to push back, work all the time, but then you work little by little, maybe even go one step back and then 2 steps forward, okay? So now, once I have this arm and head isolated, I'm now gonna transition over to more of a side control kind of position because I wanna put myself parallel to his body. The problem with this mount position is that I'm not gonna have enough pressure or enough depth to actually get enough pressure on his neck here, okay? So I can squeeze here. Sometimes you can catch it, but to really get a good squeeze, I'm gonna now bring my hips up here, and I'm gonna bring my left knee over his belly, okay? So watch how I'm just gonna slide, almost like a knee slide, down, so I end up right beside, parallel to Christian's body here, okay? So now I can go low, and I bring my hips to the floor. I'm pointing my knees in towards Christian so that he can't catch my legs here. I don't want him to trap my leg, get it back to half guard. I want to keep this knee pointing in so I stop him from turning in towards me, okay? Make sure that your arm is deep around his neck. You're still controlling this arm here and keeping it trapped inside. And now I can start pushing down and then bring it tight. So the squeeze itself is a little bit about pulling yourself down to the floor, not so much about pulling the person up from the floor, right? Down, and then you're gonna squeeze a little bit in towards your partner there. So from the mount here, wow, controlling the head, I'm now trying to isolate the arm. He stops it maybe, I will use my arm to stretch here and get tight, okay? Now for the transition over to the parallel position here, I'm lifting my hips up,
knee over, landing right beside, okay? Hips to the floor, head to the floor, and now you could go for the squeeze, okay? So what you're gonna see is this isolation control is very important to set up different attacks, but also to maintain the position there on top, right? So this is perhaps the simplest submission that you can get from that kind of isolation, and that's why we show it today, right? Well, thank you guys for watching, and as always, please like and subscribe. Hey guys, welcome to another week here at the beginner's course, and today we're gonna go through some mount. So starting off from the side control, I'm gonna teach you guys how to transition to the mount, and then we're gonna work a very basic arm triangle from that position, right? So here with Christian is on bottom, and I've already passed his guard. I'm coming from the side control here, and when going to the mount, we're looking to isolate his arms a little bit first, okay? So first things first, what you're gonna notice is this elbow here. If it's very tight here, most likely I can't bring my hips close to his body, okay? So we're gonna do a very basic thing here. We're gonna stretch our leg out and bring our knee under his elbow and then put the elbow high, okay? As long as this arm isn't pushing me away, that's fine. If I can work it all the way tight here, that's even better, right? Now, once we've gotten to this position, I can start looking to isolate the other arm, okay? I don't want this arm to be down here so that when I'm transitioning, he can catch my foot, bring it into his legs, or all those mean things, right? So I want to make sure that I'm underhooking here and blocking this arm from getting lower, okay? So now I'm going to bring this knee close to his hips here, okay? And when I do that, I'm always keeping a good base. So let's move to this side so people can see. So this foot here is actively working and always posting to the floor, right? So if he tried to bump me backwards, I would still have a base with this foot here, okay? Also, I'm looking to pinch with my knee on this side and my heel on the other side, okay? So I'm gonna throw my leg over and then pinch my knee, my heel and my knee together, okay? At the same time, I'm here, and what you're gonna notice, there's a little bit of a reaction from your opponent, most likely. If he tries to bump in towards you, that is the perfect timing to start working up, okay? So you wanna be a little bit preactive here. If I'm too late, let's say he bumped up and I didn't move, then most likely he's gonna come to the top position, right? Of course, it's closed guard, so it's not the end of the world, but when I go here, I wanna make sure that I'm moving myself over him, okay? So I'm using that foot in the back to push myself over, and now I can already start to move for some different attacks, okay? Be prepared though, because as you establish the mount position, most likely the guy is gonna scramble at least for 3-4 seconds. If there is points involved, he will try to stop that from happening, right? So you have to be able to base out and keep your center of gravity pretty low, right? So when you get to the mount position, you don't want to be here, right? This means my center of gravity is pretty high and it's easy for me to tilt over to either side, right? I want to be here. I want to be cross-facing. I want to be cupping either his arm or his head here and preventing him from turning or making it difficult for me, right? So, nice and easy. Making sure I isolated the arms. Step over into the mount. Hey guys, so we're gonna go a little bit further here now. Coming from the mount position, I'm gonna go in for the arm triangle. So, very basic, but it starts, or it gives us a very nice start for some cool attacks later on as well. So, once I'm here, I'm always gonna look to grab with my arm around his head here and isolate his head, right? So what I'm trying to do here is prevent Christian from getting too much on one side. So let's say he wants to move over to one side and pull my leg inside and then back into the half guard, right? If I feel this is coming on this side, for example, I'm gonna start to try to turn Christian to the other side here, okay? Most likely, he's gonna bring his arms in, he's gonna try to move either to the other side or trying to do something else, okay? So
I have to be conscious about what Christian is trying to set up or what he's trying to do to escape this position, okay? And always I'm trying not to give him my foot back into his half guard, okay? So I'm isolating his head. I'm now gonna try to bring his arm up, okay? This can be easy, but it can be also very hard. And if I'm moving up and he resists, like just crawling is not gonna be enough. So I'm gonna post my hand on the floor, stretch my arm out, and then bend again to crawl even further, right? So you're gonna be here, moving up until you can crank it all the way up here, okay? So you want his elbow to be right on top of his forehead so that you can now bring your head tight on his tricep here, okay? This way I can keep the arm trapped, and that's what we wanna do, right? I'm now using this hand that's going underneath his head to grab his armpit or his shoulder here, right? So I'm always keeping this tight, as well as my head tight to his arm. So this transition here can take some time. It's a little bit about patience, right? Sometimes you go up, he gets his arm in, and then you have to work your way out and try to work all the way out again, okay? The good thing about this is you're already on the offensive side, and he's just focusing on defending this arm, right? So you have plenty of time to work, or you should, unless the time is running out and you're losing by points or something like that. But here, I can take my time, and now, once I've had this arm getting over all the way to his head, I'm gonna stay tight here. I can either clasp my hands, or by holding this shoulder, I'm keeping it tight, I can use this hand to post on the floor depending on how much he's moving, right? I don't wanna be falling to the bottom position here. I wanna be able to post and make sure that I'm not falling, okay? So now, I'm gonna lift my hips up, okay? So when I create this space, I'm gonna bring my right knee over his belly, okay? This way, if he tries to catch my foot here, I'm still hooking the side of his hips and it's hard for him to catch my legs. I can now just knee slide all the way over, so I end up right beside Christian here in a parallel line, okay? So now I can clasp my hands together, get low, and now get my hips to the floor. And watch now how I'm gonna start by always pointing my knees in towards Christian here, okay? If my knees are pointing the other way or just straightened out here, he can start to catch my legs. This is bad. Now it's gonna be hard for me to finish, okay? So I wanna make sure that I'm blocking his hips so that if he tries to catch my legs, it's really hard to get to, okay? So now, to get the squeeze, I'm bringing my elbow tight to me here. Forehead to the floor. I'm gonna squeeze my shoulder down to the floor and then come closer to Christian. So, Christian's head is here. Gonna be bringing this elbow tight. Get yourself low and then moving in towards him, okay? It's not about picking the guy up from the ground. It's about you getting down to the guy on the floor, right? So you want to bring your shoulder down and put pressure. A lot of the people in the beginning, they try to pull the person up from the floor, and that's when you don't get the right squeeze. So here again, you can go this side. Isolating the arm, bringing the head low, clasp your hands together or post on the floor, legs up or hips up, and then I'm gonna bring my knee over and get parallel to Christian here, okay? Here, I'm gonna stay tight, use my shoulder, and then get the squeeze. So, this arm isolation type does give you a lot of different techs later on, and the arm triangle is perhaps the most basic one, and so that's why we did it today, right? Thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe.